Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of the Outsiders Fantasy Podcast. Today we're going to do a two-parter as far as the Monday Night Football game. I'm going to be covering the Chiefs and Bills. Since it does start early, it starts about 4 o'clock. I'm going to go ahead and get that taken care of, and then when Drew gets back home from work, he's going to cover the later game. So he's not able to be here for this one, but he will definitely get you guys ready for the later primetime game tonight. So as we know, the Chiefs and Bills game got moved. I think this is actually it's advantageous to people that want to see a good game and not have to fight through all the different scheduling conflicts that the NFL can cause sometimes, making half their games at 12 and then 3 and blah, blah, blah. And then some games, if you're not in that region, you won't pick it up. So if the Chiefs were playing the Bills and you live out in New York or Tennessee, and the Bills are playing in Kansas City, you probably wouldn't be able to watch the game. So it's good that it got moved. Everyone, they got a little bit extra practice, so it should be an exciting game. So let's just go ahead and dive right into it, and let's get started. So me personally, I think that this game is going to be determined by who can outpass the other team. As we both know, or as we both, all of the other one person that watches the show, as we all know, the Chiefs and the Bills do have a reputation this year of being able to get points hung on them, either through running or passing, and sometimes both. It depends on the week. Tre'Davious White is still having issues, so that doesn't help their secondary much either. So last week, the Titans, who are, by the way, still undefeated in the NFL, bring it on, Steelers, for next week. I'll do more BS talking later on. But as of right now, last week the Titans, they made Josh Allen look human, and that's hard to do. They held him to 263 yards, 2 touchdowns. Granted, and if that was Carson Wentz or somebody like that, 2 touchdowns, that's a pretty decent game. But for Josh Allen, that's kind of human. And they did force 2 interceptions. He finished the day with a 77 passer rating, which is definitely unlike Josh Allen. And they contained him, like we talked about, on Sunday or Saturday, the last episode we made for the this previous Sunday matchups. They held him to only 14 yards rushing, which is a big deal considering it's Josh Allen. So maybe the Chiefs can watch that tape and figure out what the Titans did in order to hold him to such a low rushing amount. However, the Bills were still able to put up respectable numbers in week 5 as far as running the ball. They did have 22 rushes for 95 yards, and they had 4.3 yards per carry. It could have been more, but the game got out of hand early, and the Bills had to abandon the run. So in that short while that they were able to run the ball and have a decent game script that was balanced, they did almost get 100 yards rushing, and they got close to 4.5 yards per carry, which is very decent. So so their running game with Devin Singletary and a little bit of Zach Moss when he's in there sprinkled in is a pretty good combination. So I see Buffalo trying to have that same formula against Patrick Mahomes as everyone does, trying to run the ball as much as possible to chew the clock down to keep Mahomes on the sidelines. And the Bills are more than capable with usually a strong running game from their running backs, and most as important, their quarterback. He can definitely be involved in some option plays and some keepers and draws and things like that. While the Chiefs are only allowing or not only, but the Chiefs are allowing 157.6 yards per game on the ground, which is 29th in the NFL, and they're allowing exactly an average of 5 yards per carry, which I've been saying over and over again. If you can get a running game that averages at least 5 yards per carry, it makes the offense open up a whole lot for your team, because on 2nd and 5 and 3rd and 5, the defense has to be worried about whether or not you're going to run the ball, you're going to throw the ball short, you're going to do a play action, take a deep shot, whatever. You're always keeping the defense guessing on 2nd and short and 3rd and short. So, so I expect Devin Singletary, and if Zach Moss plays, I expect them to get a heavy workload. I also expect Josh Allen to try to want to redeem himself from that 14-yard rushing performance and want to get more involved in options and, all that other stuff, RPOs and all that other stuff that he likes to do. KC usually has a pretty decent pass defense, but last week against the Raiders, for some reason, they had a complete breakdown, allowing Derek Carr to put up 3 touchdowns to only 1 interception with 127 passer rating. The Chiefs will need to get those issues fixed fast, facing a pass-happy Bills team with a wide receiver core almost as dangerous as the Chiefs themselves. And Josh Allen almost at 20 passing touchdowns this year, and it's only week 6 that we're heading into. Like we know, he's got John Brown, he's got Stephon Diggs, Cole Beasley. Josh Allen is a phenomenal talent anyway. It doesn't really matter, in my opinion, who he throws to, as long as they can get down the field. His arm is strong enough that he'll find him or throw him open at some point. So definitely, if anybody can keep up with the Chiefs scoring, it can be the Bills for sure. I believe Sammy Watkins is out. Last I saw, and since Sammy for the Chiefs and Sammy Watkins, since he's out, I definitely see Clyde Edwards being more involved in the passing game. Even though Clyde Edwards-Helaire is a good running back, a really good running back, and he's had a successful looking season by the eye test, he usually doesn't get close or tops 100 yards in the majority of his games. I think the past 3 games he's gotten he's gotten under 70 yards a game at least 3 games this year. But where he does get his chops in is in the passing game. But since Sammy's out, I believe they'll try to use him maybe a little bit more in the passing game as well. So, which is good for PPR owners or PPR league players that own Clyde Edwards. So, as every team does, the Bills have their hands full with the Chiefs' passing attack and Mahomes' mobility. In 2020 so far this year, Mahomes has 13 touchdowns to only 1 interception and 107 passer rating. However, Mahomes did struggle by his definition of struggling last week against the Raiders, who seemed to have the Chiefs' number on all phases of the game, holding Mahomes to 2 touchdowns, giving him 1 interception, and putting on making him have a 83.5 passer rating. Still, with a lot of QBs out there, 2 touchdowns is still a good game. But for Mahomes' sake, just like Josh Allen, 2 touchdowns is a little slow. However, Mahomes is still a fearless passer. He loves to push the ball downfield. He's averaging 8 yards per attempt, showing he's still aggressive, and that explosion in points can still come at any time. You're not at your best. So the Bills are going to have to always be aware of the downfield throwing, because Mahomes loves to sling that ball downfield. That's the way the offense is made. That's the way he's made. That's why they work so well together. Mahomes will have a chance to redeem himself this week playing the Bills secondary that allowed Ryan Tannehill to put up 3 touchdowns and 129 passer rating, throwing to basically just A.J. Brown and tight end Johnny Smith. Even better news for Mahomes and his fantasy owners. Not only did the Bills have a bad pass defense last week, but as far as for the 2020 season on the whole, they are 23rd in allowed passer rating, which at 103.6, and allow almost a 70% completion percentage. With Mahomes taking the ball down the field at almost 8 yards per attempt each pass, if he does complete close to that 70% mark that the Bills are allowing on average each year, that spells big points and big numbers down the field, and a lot of stats for Mahomes and all of his receivers, a lot of chunk plays. Unless the Bills can drastically change how they play the deep ball and play against the pass, since this week of practice has gone by. My takeaway overall in the game, as far as for fantasy owners, I do like the passers and their weapons for this game. I like John Brown. I like Stephon Gilmore. Cole Beasley, if you need a flex really bad, he's not a bad choice. Mecole Hardman, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, obviously you're going to start him regardless, but I like him getting more reception, so better PPR numbers. And, of course, the quarterbacks. What I don't like so much, granted, Devin Singletary, you're going to probably want to play him because you drafted him to play him, and he's probably better than whoever you have on your bench. You have a phenomenal matchup, and you can't ignore it. But I would still play Devin Singletary, but don't expect much out of him if it turns into a shootout, because they just won't use him. Not because he's not good. It's just they need to score points quickly to keep up with each other. So if you have Zach Moss, I probably wouldn't. If you're super desperate and your team doesn't have a lot, it'll just put him in the flex. But I wouldn't go any higher, and I wouldn't expect that much out of him, just from how I foresee this game going. Now, granted, when the Chiefs do make you one-dimensional, their pass defense can be a little bit more dangerous. They do get turnovers. They do get sacks. So they can turn it on when they pretty much can assure what you're doing. Where they do struggle is when it's usually in the first half, like we saw against the Patriots and so on. Not the Patriots, but in the second half against the Patriots, we saw that whenever they make them one-dimensional, they can just come straight after them. They can pass rush them. They'll get interceptions and all that. So my takeaway that it could be a shootout, like I said. Both pass defenses and quarterback talent are about the same, but the Chiefs definitely go back to putting up scary numbers that we're used to seeing. So that's what I think. I think the Chiefs are going to ultimately pull out the victory, but I do see it being a very high-flying, entertaining game all around. So yeah, that is my take on the game. My projections for the teams. Mahomes, I got him kind of reaching a little bit because, it's Mahomes and it's this type of game. I don't want to undercut. Kind of want to be a little bold. But Mahomes, I got him at 25 this week. Tyreek, 18 for PPR, 15 in standard. Mecole Hardman, 11 in PPR, 9 in standard. Demarcus Robinson, I got him again. Sammy Watkins is out, so 10 in PPR, 7 in standard. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I got him at 18 because he's probably going to go more for have a little bit more receptions than he usually has. So 18 in PPR, 14 for standard. Darrell Williams, 6 in PPR, 5 for standard. Lev Bell, even though he did get signed by the Chiefs, he's not playing this week, so don't put him in. Travis Kelce got him at 18 PPR, 15 in standard. Josh Allen, I got him not too far off from Patrick Mahomes because, like I said, I could see it being a shootout. So I got Josh Allen at 23. Stephon Diggs, 16 in PPR, 14 in standard. John Brown, he was questionable last I heard, but if he does suit up and play, 14 in PPR, 12 in standard. Cole Beasley, depending on what John Brown does right now. If John Brown plays, I got Cole Beasley at 10 in PPR, 6 in standard. If John Brown doesn't play, I got Cole Beasley more at around 13 or 14, about John Brown's amount, 14 in PPR, 12 in standard. Devin Singletary, a guy I'm at 14 in PPR, 12 in standard. Zach Moss, 8 in PPR, 5 in standard. Tyler Kroft, their tight end, 8 in PPR, 6 in standard. And Dawson Knox, their other tight end that they usually play, he is out as well. So yeah, guys and gals, that is my take on this particular Monday Night Football game. Like I said, Drew will be on here in a couple of hours to break down his Cowboys going against the Arizona Cardinals. And after that, we will see you on Thursday for the Thursday Night Football game. All right. And as always, come with us if you want to win. Enjoy the game tonight, guys. Peace.